Welcome to the Goodyear City Council meeting. We're excited to have you be a part of this important public process. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to address City Council on both non-agenda and agenda items. You must fill out a speaker request card in order to address the City Council. The agendas and speaker request cards are located in the back of the council chambers. Please drop your completed card in the tray next to the blank speaker cards. If the meeting has already begun, please hand it to the city employee at the back of the room. You may check the "I do not wish to speak" option on the card. This allows you to let council know your opinion without having to speak. In accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, please contact a staff member if you need any assistance. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The city clerk will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and tell us your name for the record. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes. The timer is on the screens visible from the podium. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear City Council meetings stream live on Facebook, YouTube, X, and online at goodyearaz.gov. Follow the city's social media pages so you don't miss out on all that's happening in Goodyear. Thank you for coming to this meeting and being an active part of your city. And remember, it's a great time to be in Goodyear.
I'd like to call the regular meeting to order for September 22, 2025. Check the roll call. We have what?
Councilmember Kano, can you confirm your presence online?
I'm here, thank you.
All members are present.
Thank you. Please join Councilmember Hampton in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we gather here today and thank you for humble hearts, grateful for your presence among us as we speak to serve the city. We lift up and honor our military and veterans, those who have served our country. I just pray that you'll be with them, keep them safe, and thank you for the freedoms that we can enjoy. I give thanks to our police and fire, the brave men and women who place themselves between danger and our families, protecting us day and night with courage and compassion. I want to especially also recognize with the passing of Charlie Kirk, who touched so many, that Lord, that you'll be with them, their family, and just his commitment as he inspired others to do greater things, Lord. I think for the city staff and those that labor behind the scenes, often unseen, yet without whom nothing runs smoothly. May they be strengthened in mind, body, and spirit, and feel how deeply their efforts are valued. We also recognize and thank our citizens, just the major contributions that they provide to the city through volunteerism, caring for neighbors, participating in civic life, and speaking up, showing up at our council meetings, and making their voices heard. Please give us wisdom on the council as we're making decisions that best fit the city of Goodyear. Give us wisdom and fairness and compassion. Help us to be ever mindful that every choice affects real lives, and may our actions build bridges, foster community, and reflect the highest good. Thank you, in your name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you there, Councilmember Hampton. We have one communication item tonight. Proclamation recognizing September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Will Rachel Putman please join us in the well?
Whereas ovarian cancer is the fifth leading cause of cancer deaths in the United States and causes crucial for women to recognize the symptoms and consult with gynecologists whose are persistent. And whereas the 5-year survival rate for ovarian cancer is 50%, and survival rates vary greatly depending on the stage of diagnosis. Therefore, early detection is crucial for improving survival rates and increased public awareness of symptoms and risk factors. And whereas during this month of awareness, the city of Goodyear remembers those we've lost to ovarian cancer. We honor those living with it, and we offer our unwavering support to their loved ones and the medical community dedicated to their care. Now, therefore, Joe Pizzolo, Mayor of the City of Goodyear, does hereby proclaim the month of September 2025 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and encourages all residents to become more informed and support the cause that so deeply impacts families in every community across our country.
Mike is yours. Go ahead. Oh, Nancy, number 50.
All right, thank you. Ovarian cancer is one of the deadliest cancers impacting women, yet it remains one of the most underfunded and least understood. Each year in the United States, nearly 20,000 women are diagnosed and over 12,700 will lose their lives to this devastating disease. That's a staggering 64% mortality rate. Here in Arizona, hundreds of women face this devastating diagnosis each year, and sadly, more than 75% are diagnosed at advanced stages due to vague symptoms and a lack of a reliable early detection test. The 5-year survival rate remains below 50%, and that hasn't improved in decades. At age 38, I was diagnosed with stage 3A low-grade serous ovarian cancer, or LGSOC, a rare form of ovarian cancer that disproportionately impacts young premenopausal women. This insidious disease has no standard of care, is chronic, and experiences an 85% recurrence rate. The impact on my life and my family as a result has been profound. Like many young women that face LGSOC, I lost my ability to have biological children, with no time or guidance to preserve fertility. Cancer robbed my husband and I of the dreams we had not yet fulfilled, and these losses still echo through every day of survivorship. As a 5-year survivor, it's heart-wrenching to think that I have beaten the odds. But even worse are the more devastating stories of those who did not. One of them is my dear friend and my first mentee, Jordan, who died last September during Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, one day after her 33rd birthday. Jordan was vibrant, brilliant, and full of hope. I had the privilege of running the Disney Princess 10K with Jordan 7 months prior to her passing. Her last words to me were, "I'm glad you're fighting for this disease. I just don't have it in me anymore." Jordan's death crushed me, but I made her a promise to continue fighting for her and every woman still waiting for earlier diagnosis, better treatment, and a real chance at survival. Women like Jordan deserve more. They deserve better. They deserve a future. And that begins with awareness, which leads to earlier diagnoses, researches, and ultimately survival. Thank you for standing with survivors, honoring those we have lost, and helping to protect women across Goodyear, Arizona. Together, we can shine a light on this gravely overlooked disease and give hope to the women and the families in our communities who need it the most.
Let's give her a hand. Mine's a little different. My wife's been pregnant for 7 years, so there you go. Any comments, Laura?
No, Mayor.
Any comments here on the dais? Okay, thank you all. Now is the time for members of the public who wish to address the city council on any non-agenda items within the jurisdiction of Goodyear City Council. Any speaker cards?
I do not have any speaker cards, Mayor.
None?
None.
Okay, thank you. Will the city clerk please read the consent agenda items 2 through 6 by title only?
Item 2, approval of minutes. Item 3, approved Drug Enforcement Agency Equitable Sharing Agreement and Certification, ESAC with Department of Justice. Item 4, adopt resolution number 2025-2489, approving the Sixth Amendment to Infrastructure Development Agreement for Phoenix 1011. Item 5, adopt resolution number 2025-2490, declaring city property as public right-of-way for West Broadway Road. Item 6, adopt resolution number 2025-2491, authorizing the city manager or designee to execute a job creation agreement with Schneider Electric IT Corporation.
Thank you. Does anybody on the council wish to remove an item? How about you, Laura?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second? I see a motion and a second on the board. Go ahead and open up the vote.
Councilmember Kano, please state your vote for the record.
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Thank you. We have 2 public hearings tonight. First public hearing is to consider a use permit for a limited outdoor storage display. Open the public hearing. Please introduce yourself, if you would, for the public.
Good evening, Mayor Pizzello and members of City Council. My name is Justin Gabrielson, Senior Planner here at the City of Goodyear. I'm here before you this evening with a request from Charles McNeely to request a use permit for a minimum outdoor storage and display to provide a storage and display area for a Tractor Supply. The project is located at the northwest corner of West Van Buren Street and North Central Avenue. Tractor Supply will be developing on a 6.84 acre lot, adding a 13,895 square foot fenced-in outdoor display. Good. Was that muted? Yes, sir. My bad. You want me to restart?
No, go ahead.
Fenced-in outdoor display area and trailer staging area. The site is currently zoned C2 General Commercial. To the north of the site is Palm Valley Crossing. To the east of the site is Thrive at a Vision Goodyear, which is a 47-unit R1A community. To the south of the site is Avondale and several commercial uses. And to the west of the site is a U-Haul storage and Precious Home Service. The nearly 14,000 square foot display will be screened on all 4 sides and provide access to both the north and south side of the area, as well as these 2 areas for trailer storage and staging. Since it will be screened, we took extra time working with the applicant for how the screening will look. This is how the east and west elevations will look. This is how it will look on the south facing West Van Buren Street, and this is how it will look on the north facing the store. The outdoor display was designed with the Cow Ranch outdoor display area in mind, which was previously approved by City Council back in December 9th, 2013. An alternative citizen review occurred with postcards being sent out to properties owner within 500 feet of the property. On September 10th, 2025, the members of Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 to forward the recommendation of approval to you. And staff is recommending approval with stipulations for the use permit for a limited outdoor display and storage for the development of a 13,895 square foot outdoor display and storage area for Tractor Supply. This concludes my presentation. I am available for any questions, and so is the applicant.
Thank you. Any speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor. Marcus McFall.
If you would, just your name. You don't have to tell whether you're a resident of Goodyear, but you have to give an address. And you got 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and council members.
A little closer to the mic there.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for allowing me to speak. I just have a few questions as far as, first of all, I'd like to welcome Tractor Supply to our community. My name is Marcus McFall. Obviously, I own the McFall Tire in the same parking lot. My only concerns, I just wanted to clarify and maybe document if possible. I have been in conversations with the property management of that complex, and they sent me a site plan that had a truck route that ran through my parking lot, which causes an issue with obviously disruption of my business. They sent me a revised one where it has the truck route going around, which is great. But my concern there is just that if we could have that somewhere in, I guess, concrete, just so there's no arguments in the future. It's just because it does create a conflict during business hours. So it has.
Let's see if we can get you your answer. Is the owner here? Do you want to come? You want to come up? Go ahead and have it. Yeah, he want to see where that truck route's going.
Marcus have more questions?
He might. Let's hear what he has to say.
Did you have something additional in the truck route? No. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm Scott. Yeah. Hello, council members and Mayor. My name is Scott Garrity, and I am the property manager for this particular location. And yeah, originally the truck exit route did go straight through. There are some underlying documents, easements, but in working with Tractor Supply, it's actually going around to the next drive aisle down. So I think we've alleviated that issue, unless you have another concern about that. But yeah, it's going around to the other side.
Okay. Is there, just to avoid future conflicts with management of the tenants?
Hold on. You got to get up to the mic.
Just to avoid any conflicts with the managers of the businesses and the tenants in the plaza, if there could be something in writing or, a document or a site plan that's approved,
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me bring back up the city staff. Can you make sure that's taken care of?
We can add it as a stipulation of approval with the use permit that any truck routes were to avoid his property and to follow the truck route being provided on the site plan that they generated. If you could get me a copy of that, and I'll get you my email after this.
Going to talk to the city attorney. Do we need that added now?
The stipulation.
The stipulation?
I think as long as you stipulated that's what it's going to be, you can add it later,
Can add it later?
Do you have a copy of it? Staff? No,
Copy of
staff member.
I have a copy of what you sent me. We need a motion.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
we probably want to do an amendment and add it.
Okay, then you're going to go ahead and do that?
I can do that, yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to put something in right now. Okay?
I have some more questions too.
All right, let me close this. Is that it? Because I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing so we can get questions.
Is anything else, Marcus?
We good?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We good? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right, with that, going to go ahead and close the public hearing. City Council entering motion and second to approve the use permit request for a limited outdoor display and storage on 32-acre portion of 6.84 acre parcel, APN 500-03-003M, located in northwest corner of North Central Avenue and West Van Buren, subject to stipulations. For that, open to discussion. First up is Councilmember Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. Make the motion first to amend it?
If we want to make the motion, we can add the amendments.
What do you do that for the discussion, or you want to do
Right,
that?
you should make the motion before.
Okay.
Well,
Okay,
say you
go
can
ahead.
do it before if you add it right now.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So I make the motion to add the stipulated truck route per the owner and McFall's discussion.
I'll second that. So do I need to withdraw my motion that I've said? Yeah, sure. We have a motion and a second already on our screen.
I see that, or you can just adopt it into your motion.
Okay, I
Councilmember.
got everything he said in.
Okay,
There
thank
you
you.
go. All right. So we want to go ahead and open that up for a vote, that motion? How does this work?
Mayor, what I had
discussing.
suggested is we adopt the amendment into the main motion, so you don't need to take a motion, vote on the amendment. Councilmember, or Vice Mayor Campbell adopted it with her main motion.
Okay, so we're all covered? We
We're
can
all
now do
covered.
the
Just one
discussion.
vote, yeah.
We're gonna do it, okay. Now, let's open for discussion. Councilmember Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. Justin, can you put up the kind of overhead? How many parking spaces are we losing? And can we speak to, I've heard it mentioned as storage. Why is this in the front and not the back?
It's in the front because it's actually supposed to be an extension off of the store itself, very similar to how Cow Ranch is set up. We're basically just taking that model that Cow Ranch has and duplicating it over to here. With it being in the back, it wouldn't really feel as welcoming to the resident or to the visitor. We are, to go back to your first question, we are losing about 60 spots. However, the applicant did do a traffic impact analysis, and they believe that even in peak times, that the remaining 307 spots will still be enough to maintain the needed parking for the site.
Okay, and have we heard through any of the discussion from any of the other businesses in this lot? I assume kind of the property outline you showed kind of zigzags throughout that entire corner square. Are the rest of the tenants in that area part of this property, under this property development or this property owner? Do we know that? I'm just trying to get a sense of how this is split up.
Thank you, Councilmember Terry. Yes, the majority of that center is under the same ownership with the exception of the drive-through restaurant and the tire.
Okay, so like the egg roll place, Hertz, all that stuff, it's under, okay. Yeah, and then, forgive me, just a little bit of my ignorance here. What happens should the property then be sold? Maybe this used to be, what, a 99-cent store, I believe. Property changes hands. What's long-term impact for losing 60 or so parking spaces? Does that kind of limit what could potentially be there in the future?
Yes, it could limit what could potentially go there. The use permit is associated with the property, though, not the user. So the use permit would still be active. If somebody were to want to change businesses that's in there, we would need to see a new traffic study and parking study to basically confirm with us that the new parking that they will be providing will be enough to be provided for the whole site.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. I was just going to let our council members know who were not on council when we approved the Cow Ranch extra storage. It's for the large items like the water troughs and things that normally would take up an awful lot of space inside the store. It's better if it's outside so that the folks that need that type of equipment can take a look and see if that's really what they want. But it just enhances the business, and I understand why they want it. And I'm in favor of helping them have a storage area so that they can show the wares that cannot be inside their store.
Yep, that is correct, Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Hampton?
Yeah, I think it's a great use for that space there. I think Tractor Supply is a good user, a good company, and I think it'll do really well for that plaza there. I guess the question is, did we talk to the Church's Chicken people at all? I mean, are they still going to be able to be viable with less parking spots?
Yeah, we still believe that the parking spots available will still be more than enough to provide for the businesses on site. The Church's Chicken never reached out. They would be a part of the property owners that received a letter, as well as the signs that are out there. So they were aware of the project, and we didn't receive any kind of feedback from them at all, at least not that I know of.
Yeah, I'm just looking at them. I don't know what their space is versus the lines that you have drawn here.
The Church's Chicken
closest to them have those spaces, but is the spaces up against the storage unit theirs too?
Yeah, so the spaces, there'll be spaces all along here, and then the
top there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell
Okay.
I wish I could bring up GUI maps for you and show you, but
Yeah,
21 spaces.
okay, yeah. As long as Churches is good with it too. I mean, I think it's a great use for that area there. I think it'll be an enhancement for that shopping center and get more traffic in that shopping center too. So, okay, yeah, I'll be voting yes for it. So I think they'll be a good partner for us. So thank you.
Councilmember Kano?
I agree that Tractor Supply Company will be a welcome addition to that plaza.
Thank you. See nothing else on there? Can we open up for the vote?
Councilmember Kano, please state your vote for the record.
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Thank you. Last public hearing is to consider rezoning for approximately 1,505 acres of Australia Phase 2 PAD to Australia 14 PAD. Open public hearing.
Good evening, Mayor Pizzillo and council members. My name is Ann Dalmage. I'm a principal planner, and this is a rezone request for a portion of Estrella known as Community 14. And we're going to start out with a little history on the north end of Estrella. It's split into two phases, phases 1 and 2. They were established by rezone in 1987 and 1988, respectively. Together, they cover about 10,000 acres north of the Pecos Road alignment. And they permitted approximately 42,000 units, and that includes single-family residential, court homes, townhomes, and multifamily. And the multifamily includes an unbuilt area that's at the northwest corner of Estrella Parkway and Willis Road, directly across from this rezone area. Over the years, there have been several amendments to the original zoning to create individual villages, and these include Golf Village in 1999, which permitted single-family and townhomes. Montecito in 2004 with 2 amendments, and that permitted single-family, court homes, and multifamily. And Cantamia in 2005 with 2 amendments. That was for single-family and townhomes. And then finally, at the far north end of Estrella, we have Lucero, which was approved in 2013 and has had 3 amendments, and that permitted single-family and townhomes. Estrella 14 consists of approximately 1,505 acres, and it's in Estrella Phase 2 PAD, as described on the previous slide. The existing zoning for the site envisioned a variety of uses, including single and multifamily residential, civic uses, and parks and commercial. A large regional commercial center or mall was expected to be located at the north end of the site, and that's shown here as the large red area. And the future State Route 303 alignment was once expected to run along the eastern boundary of the site. That alignment has since been moved to the west by ADOT. So without that freeway extension, a commercial center of this scale is no longer viable on this site. Most of the project site falls within the neighborhood's land use designation of the 2035 general plan. That's the light orange color in the exhibit on the right side of the slide. This designation is intended for a range of housing products, public and community facilities, and neighborhoods serving commercial. A small area near the intersection of Estrella Parkway and Willis Road falls within the business and commerce designation, and that's the light red or pink area, again in the exhibit on the right side of the slide. This designation allows for commercial and employment uses as well as multifamily residential. There's also a village center overlay that sits at the intersection of Estrella Parkway and Willis Road, and that's the circle with the diagonal red lines. That overlay applies to areas expected to serve as neighborhood destinations. And then finally, we have the Estrella Parkway Growth Corridor, which extends along the western boundary of the project site from its northern edge down to the intersection of Willis Road, and that's in the exhibit on the left side. Growth corridors are not regulatory or restrictive in nature, but they're areas where commercial and employment uses, housing, educational institutions, and similar development will concentrate to support future growth. The applicant is proposing to rezone this area to the Estrella 14 planned area development. It will largely allow the same uses as the existing zoning. However, the proposed PAD will implement a system of layered land use groups, or LUGs, to define where various uses could go. The PAD will also modify some permissions and development standards, and we'll learn more about that shortly. And finally, the PAD will also permit a smaller number of residential units than are allowed under the current zoning, and we'll also learn more about that in a moment. So the proposed rezone will establish 6 land use groups, also known as LUGs, on the site, and they're shown here. Each land use group allows for specific zoning districts and uses within its boundaries. The groups are layered over each other, and they're intended to show where certain uses could go, not necessarily where they will go. So there's full details in the staff report, but I'll give you a quick summary of what each group represents. The green group is the open space LUG. It's for natural landscapes, parks, sports fields, trails, and other recreational uses, and it does include a hillside area at the southwest corner of the site. That hillside falls only within the open space LUG. The civic space layer is the one in blue. That includes government, community, or recreational facilities. Estate is the light yellow. This is your single-family residential districts, including traditional single-family, as well as court homes and attached homes. And then we have the village LUG, which is the dark yellow. That's lower density multifamily, up to 12 dwelling units per acre, as well as neighborhood commercial. The hub LUG is the light orange. That's middle density multifamily, up to 18 units per acre, and general commercial. And finally, there's the core LUG, which is the dark orange or red, and that's high density residential, up to 24 units per acre, and mixed use. So this layered system orients the higher intensity uses, like high density multifamily, community serving commercial, and mixed use toward Estrella Parkway and its intersection with Willis Road. Lower intensity uses like open space, civic uses, single family residential have a little more flexibility in location. And just some key points to note for this rezone. It does cap the residential units at 6,034. Up to 864 of those units could be multifamily. A minimum of 18% of the site-wide, will be designated as open space. And this is to include a community amenity, possibly like the Star Point or Presidio residence clubs, as well as a system of trails and pathways. There is not a specific acreage of commercial uses that is required, but commercial will be located within the appropriate LUGs as described on the previous slide. So the rezone is proposing several revised development standards, and I won't try to list all of them, but here are some examples to note. It will reduce the rear setbacks for all single-family residential districts, but it will require additional amenities to account for reduced rear setbacks. There will be no lot coverage limits for all single-family residential districts. It will allow reduced lot sizes and reduced lot widths just for the R14 and the R16 district. And open space will count toward the overall 18% requirement, but 75% of it must be usable open space. For multifamily residential, there will be flexibility in building heights for pitched roof designs, flexibility for side and rear setbacks and open space requirements depending on the project design, and communal open space will count toward the 18% requirement. Private open space will not. This rezone also establishes a mixed-use district, which we do not already have in our zoning ordinance. So this is a new district for Goodyear. The district will use the C2 development standards, but it will allow multifamily uses in addition to commercial and public facility uses. And the rezone proposes some unique standards for drive-through restaurants. End cap and multi-tenant drive-through restaurants will be permitted in the core lug by right, provided they're at least 150 feet from residential. Additionally, up to 2 standalone drive-throughs will be allowed, and the same buffer from residential will be required. All other drive-throughs will be required to follow the zoning ordinance requirements. Similarly, the rezone also proposes unique standards for service stations, gas stations, and car washes. 1 service station and 1 car wash will be permitted if at least 500 feet from residential, unless separated by a road, canal, or railroad track. No semi-truck fueling or parking will be allowed. All other gas stations and car washes will be required to follow the zoning ordinance. And I'll give you a quick summary of some data for this project, kind of a recap of what we talked about here. Under the existing zoning, 8,400 units are permitted. Under the proposed zoning, that would be reduced to 6,034, so that's about a 28% difference. Current zoning allows a little over 4,500 multifamily units, while the proposed will allow 864, so that's a pretty steep decline of 81%. For current zoning, that's about 53%. 4,500 is about 53% of 8,400. While in the proposed zoning, no more than 14% of the residential units, assuming full build out, will be multifamily. So again, that's a decrease of 39%. The existing zoning requires only 94 acres of open space, while the proposed zoning would require 271. So that's a 188% increase in open space. The original 1980 zoning entitled a little over 42,000 units. With this rezone and all of the other amendments to Estrella that happened since the 1980s, the projected units would be about 20,000. And I do want to stress that this is a projection and not a hard number, but that is a difference of about 53%. And with this change in number of units comes a decrease in population for Estrella North. So 2 neighborhood meetings were held for this request. The first was on March 31st. The project site was 1,080 acres at the time. After this first meeting, the project area was revised to extend to 1,505 acres. So we had a second neighborhood meeting on July 1st to introduce that change in scope to the public. Approximately 200 people attended the first meeting, and approximately 85 were at the second meeting. Topics included the types of commercial, multifamily, and amenities expected in the new community, impacts to traffic and circulation, impacts to water and wastewater services, timeframes for build-out, and future plans for other properties in Estrella. Staff have also received 19 emails about the project. This includes the one that you have a copy of on the dais tonight. Most of these emails have expressed opposition or mixed opinions for the project. And again, the topics have echoed what were discussed at the neighborhood meetings, with some additional concerns about mountain and desert views and the impacts of multifamily development, such as impacts to property values and crime. One citizen has expressed support for the rezone and believes it will bring more commercial services to this part of Estrella. The Liberty Elementary School District and Buckeye Union High School District service this project site. Both were notified of the project. Liberty has provided some advice on minimum campus sizes that they require, and the applicant will continue to work with both districts as the area is developed. And this project went to Planning and Zoning Commission on September 10th, and they did vote to recommend approval with 5 voting yes, 1 voting no, and 1 commissioner absent. Staff recommends approval of the proposed rezone from Estrella Phase 2 PAD to Estrella 14 PAD, subject to the proposed stipulations, And we're also requesting a change in the text to stipulation number 18, and you have a copy of the revised text on your dais. It would strike the following language from the beginning of the stipulation. In addition to being responsible for a proportionate share of the cost of the traffic signals identified herein, as shown on the provided handout. So all of that would be struck from the stipulation. And this change is just to correct a scrivener's error that was not caught earlier in the staff report preparation. And this concludes my presentation, and we have the applicant here tonight, and they also have a presentation to give to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You want to come on up?
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor Pizzillo, City Council members. My name is Andrew Yancey. I'm an attorney at Bergen, Frank, Smalley, and Oberholzer. We're at 4343 East Camelback Road in Phoenix. I'm here tonight representing Estrella North LLC, a master developer group led by Harvard Investments. They're the 5th master developer for this Estrella community, and they purchased the undeveloped portions about 4 years ago. They very much hope to be the developer to finish out this jewel of the city of Goodyear. We really appreciate the way we were able to collaborate with the city at all levels in working toward this shared goal. The zoning application tonight is just another step in that build out of Estrella. It will update a decades-old zoning plan to allow for 1,500 acres of predominantly single-family master plan community with a second commercial core along Estrella Parkway in the Willis Road intersection, all in line with the city's general plan. I do want to make sure to thank staff for working with us in the review of this application and for her presentation tonight. You'll hear some of the same information. I may give a little different emphasis. And then also staff's recommendation of approval and Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation of approval as well. Before I get deeper though, I do want to back up and just give a little bit of context. First, I want to focus on the size of Estrella. The blue on your screen is the outline of the entire city of Goodyear. Here's the Estrella community. It's an irregular shape, about 10,000 acres. It's 6 miles from north to south. By way of comparison, 6 miles is about the distance from the city's northern boundary at Camelback Road all the way down to Lower Buckeye. Also, we're looking at Estrella as approximately half built out today. There's about 8,400 homes. They're almost exclusively on the west side of Estrella Parkway. They're all single family. There is a partially built out commercial area up at the intersection of Estrella Parkway and Elliott Road. And we are looking at about 20,000 homes as the ultimate build out. Those are projections, but it helps give you just an idea of the scale here. So here's that 1988 zoning map. It's the same one that Ann showed. The first thing I want to note is this entire 10,000 plus acre community is zoned and planned for development. It was approved for 42,000 homes initially with a mix of single family and multifamily residential. As Ann mentioned, you see the 303 freeway was once planned to come through here, and there's a big red spot you can see right around here. That's about 500 acres that was planned for a regional mall, freeway adjacent commercial, and high-intensity multifamily uses. So fast forward about 40 years. Much of the developed area of Estrella has undergone PAD amendments in their zoning. Gulf Village was first, then Cantamilla, Montecito, and Lucero. Each one has their own set of standards and their own unit cap that they have to live with. But when you look east of Estrella Parkway, that undeveloped land still has the same zoning from 1988. It's in place today. So one more step back here to look at the general plan. When Harvard purchased this property 4 years ago, there was about 500 acres of the business and commerce land use designation in this area that we're calling Community 14. That's the image you see on your left. Harvard immediately applied to change that designation to the neighborhoods designation while leaving a 40-acre portion at the intersection of Estrella Parkway and Willis Road as business and commerce. That was approved in 2021. There's also a village overlay at that intersection, and there's also a growth area that was actually added to the general plan at the request of some Estrella residents during the most recent general plan update. That runs along Estrella Parkway. So that's where the general plan says the higher intensity development is supposed to go. Now, even though that general plan amendment went through, the 1988 zoning's still there. So this is just a little closer look at it here. Almost half of Community 14 prohibits single-family development today. It also includes 4,500 multifamily units. Many of them were in what they called the high-intensity town center area that allowed up to 50 units an acre with no height limit. That is not the plan that we want for Estrella. Instead, our vision is consistent with the general plan. Community 14 should be predominantly single-family, but we also want to facilitate a commercial core near the Estrella Parkway and Willis Road intersection. To help make this commercial area viable and to allow for more housing choices within Estrella, we are proposing that there are some higher density residential in and around that commercial area. Overall, in the plan, the uses get less intense the further out you go from that commercial core. So this vision is a reduction in intensity from the current zoning. We're proposing a cap of 6,034 homes. Of those, only 864 can be multifamily. And I want to be very clear on this point. That 864 units is a maximum. This zoning does not require a single multifamily unit to be built. But multifamily does have a place in a large master plan community. It allows additional housing choices and it brings rooftops closer to commercial. Estrella's proposal also includes the type of open space and amenities and trails it has always prided itself on. Overall, we're looking at 18% open space. That's over and above the 15% that's usually in the city's single-family districts. There's also going to be a large community amenity. We don't have it specifically programmed today, but it's going to be on the scale of the Star Point or the Presidio, the large residence clubs. We also want to make sure it's well distributed. So there's going to be a park within a quarter mile of every home. So we walked through some of those main components, and I'm going to show you a little comparison here as well. Again, it's just important to see what we're proposing versus what is allowed today. We're proposing 6,034 units. The existing zoning is 8,400 units. That's a reduction of about 2,300. For the multifamily, we're proposing a maximum of 864. The current zoning could allow up to 4,500. That's a very large reduction of over 3,600 units. We're also proposing to increase the open space to almost triple what's required today, also including that community amenity, the parks within a quarter mile, making the commercial neighborhood scale instead of regional freeway scale, and bringing the plan into conformance with the city's general plan. So lastly, I do want to touch on the mechanism that we're using here. It's the layered zoning concept with the land use groups. Community 14 is about 1,500 acres, so it's going to take about a decade, maybe a little more, to build out the whole thing. We don't know today exactly where each use is going to go in this 1,500 acres, but we do have enough of an idea that we can set up some guardrails to ensure maximum flexibility for single-family development while also creating opportunities for commercial and higher density residential at the appropriate locations. We do this through the 6 land use groups you see. Each is layered on top of the other, and each adopts the city's own zoning districts and standards. We're not proposing custom standards here. We do have some modifications to the city standards, but by and large, we are implementing the city's districts and standards in a way that we think makes sense for this community. So just to quickly walk through these land use groups, that green one, that's open space. What that tells you is open space can go anywhere you see the color green, and that's anywhere in the community. We don't want to stop open space anywhere. The next one is the blue civic space. It can go anywhere except for on top of this small mountain that's on the southern end of the property. We carve that out. So open space is the only land use group that applies to it. It has to be open space. On the top right here, you see the estate land use group, and this one's very important because this one allows any of the city's single-family zoning districts. And you can see that it can go anywhere in the property with 2 exceptions. One is that small mountain, because it's going to be open space. The other is the 40-acre triangle at the corner of Willis and Estrella Parkway, because it's business and commerce designated within the general plan. Moving down, we have the village land use group that starts to,
About 1 minute.
thank you, that starts to implement a little more intensity. The C1 commercial district, the MF12 multifamily, those all have a 30-foot height limit. We also have the hub and the core land use groups. Those are more intense. Those are more centered on Estrella Parkway and Willis Road. Hub allows for C2 and MF18. Core allows for MF24, and also this mixed-use land use group that we created to essentially combine MF24 and C2. But what I want to point out is even within those most intense hub and land use groups, they can develop as single family if that's what the market warrants at the time they go to develop, because that estate land use group overlays it, except for that 40 acres that's business and commerce in the general plan. So just as I'm wrapping up, just to reiterate, this is a down zone. This is a reduction in overall residential units and a drastic reduction in multifamily residential units. With that, we respectfully request that you approve this PAD, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Andrew. Any speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor, I have 4 speaker cards. First up, Jeff Redmond.
Jeff, all you have to do is give your name, not your address, or whether you're a Goodyear resident. You got the 3 minutes. It'll let you know when you get closer to it, so go ahead.
Let it rip. Good day, everybody. Jeff Redmond, resident of Australia. As I've hit the podium here several times, I want to make clear that my passion can be misconstrued as anger. It's not. It's passion. Okay. One of the things that I'm really focused on is protecting our way of life in Australia during this excessive growth. I oppose this rezone in its present format as it's presented. And I want to say emphasis on the present format. The development of this area is inevitable. I mean, anybody that's paying attention to what's going on in Goodyear can see that it was just a matter of time. How it gets developed in such a fashion that it benefits the existing residents and does not destroy their quality of life needs to be considered. 5 to 10 year build out for existing residents in Cantamia and South Estrella is a long time. In preparation for this meeting, in using the community Facebook page, I was posting the meeting times and talking about some of the concerns that I had and some others had. And a lot of the feedback was, quote, "These meetings are a waste of time. Their mind's already made up. These meetings are simply a formality and a charade to check a box. They don't care. Our community is being eroded. They just rubber stamp projects. And lastly, it's all about the revenue. They don't care about the citizens." Now, I would like to believe that y'all do care. And I'd like to believe that I'm not wasting my time standing here talking to y'all. I have, listening to the presentations that have been made so far, I had a bunch of concerns, but I'm gonna focus my remaining time on what I believe to be the main concern that I and others have, and it's the traffic. Part of the master plan, as I understand it, the Cotton Lane will be expanded from the Estrella Parkway Cotton Lane roundabout to Willis Road eventually, once the build out's done. My proposal is that you all encourage the developers to build out Cotton Lane first and use that as their thoroughfare for this construction for the next 5 to 10 years. In essence, preserving Estrella Parkway for those of us that live there, so we don't have to deal with congestion, we don't have to deal with millions of tons of concrete coming up through the Estrella Parkway, lanes blocked off, just all the contractors and just the volume of traffic that's going to be created in the next 5 to 10 years up through Estrella Parkway into that new development, only to build that thoroughfare I'm talking about after it's completed. So I'd urge you to support change to this rezone in the effort that I just made mention to, which is get that road developed first and force the contractors through that road, not on our Estrella Parkway. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next.
Please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Richard Durda?
Again, just name, Goodyear residence. You don't have to give an address.
Okay.
You heard the previous 3 minutes, and they'll let you know when you get closer. Go ahead,
Thank you.
sir.
I'm Mike Durda. I live in Cantamia. Estrella is a wonderfully planned master community where individual builders have created smaller, unique communities, each attractive to a variety of buyers. And for the benefit of all are the beautiful public spaces. We have tree-lined parkways, walking and biking paths, large public features, unique features, lakes, and they all suggest that living in Estrella is more of a destination than just a house. I trust that the owner's vision to rezone Estrella 14 will both expand and improve upon what has already been accomplished here. And I think it's in their best interest and ours to do exactly that. So the proposed multifamily and single-family housing will provide the rooftops needed to attract the small businesses that we all want, and it will keep the money in the community. Limiting the structures to 2 and 3 stories will also maintain the sight line, so it won't destroy the views that we have of the mountain. The extensive park and trail system and possibly new schools will attract people and foster a very rich, diverse community. So without hesitation, I would urge you to pass this rezoning proposal to continue with the elements that brought all of us to Estrella in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Tom Blackman?
Again, Tom, just a name, Goodyear residence, and you got the 3.
Tom Blackman and council members and mayor. I just want to speak. I'm all for this development. I want it to move forward as fast as possible. It's, like we can't build our houses fast enough right now. So my only concern is the multifamily housing. I mean, I look around, I see single-story apartments. I see double, 2 and 3 and 4-story apartments. My concern is we need to limit those heights of the buildings to either single-level apartments or maybe up to 30 feet. If we could add that stipulation to the amendment, that would be a wonderful thing. And that's just my concern. I just, I've been, since I heard about this, I look around and I see 4-story buildings, apartments going up, and I'm going, that is big, real big. And to put that on the east side of Estrella Boulevard is going to really take the view away from what we do, why we live there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next.
Russell Fury?
Again, just for the record, Russell, your name and whether you're a Goodyear resident, that's all.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Russell Fair. I am a resident of Cantamia up in EMR. I'm neutral on this. Been lived here for 2 years. Attended both of the community meetings by Estrella North. And by the way, great plan. I got to admit that. Very good plan. 2 things that concern me, though. I do have pause with the setbacks, the reduced setbacks and the reduced sidebacks. I've lived in Chicago, and I worry sometimes you get people on top of each other, and it just, it's an uncomfortable situation. So just give pause in that situation. The other thing that concerns me, and Jeff mentioned this, is the traffic. If you've been to the roundabout on Estrella and Cotton, that's going to have to be blown up. And the city planners were at Cantamia, did a great job. Thanks, by the way, guys. That was excellent work. May appreciate you coming down, too. That's going to have to change in order to expand Cotton to the east and the south. And so in order to do that, the timing of that versus trying to recoup your money for this land, I mean, there's quite a bit of land, 6,000 new houses. There's a lot of money that's going to be possible from that. So the timing of it all concerns me, to Jeff's point as well. Are we going to just start funneling the traffic down Estrella? We got a high school there. And the traffic studies have been done. So kudos to them. They did the initial traffic study. They did the second traffic study after they added the 425 acres. Traffic studies, Ann did a great job sharing that. B's and C's for the most part, good, not great. One of them had an F. But I think that's the one thing that I haven't heard from Estrella North or from anyone is, what's the strategy to address the traffic, or is there a strategy? And I think that's what concerns me, that we're all excited about building. We all want, commercial. It'd be great to have a new grocery store up there, right? I mean, driving down the Safeways, it's not too far, but it'd be nice to have something closer. But let's be smart, make sure we've got the right traffic strategy in place, so that way we're not inconveniencing, causing more accidents, and then we got more police having to take care of all these additional, because 6,000 homes is going to be, 10, 12,000 new people, plus new cars, plus potentially new kids and schools. It's just going to extrapolate. So thank you for your attention. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Anything else?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. City Clerk, please read the ordinance number 2025-1639 by title only.
Adopt ordinance number 2025-1639, conditionally rezoning approximately 1,505 acres of land generally located on the east side of Estrella Parkway and south of Estrella Foothills High School from the Estrella Phase 2 Planned Area Development PAD to the Estrella 14 Planned Area Development PAD, and amending the zoning map of the city of Goodyear.
Thank you. Councilmember Kano, you're first up on the phone. Any questions?
Do we need to do a motion first? Oh,
Oh, sorry. I always see a motion and a second up there. You're right. City Councilor, a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance. I see a motion and a second. So now, your call.
okay. I just want to say this case was like discovering a time capsule from 40 years ago that held what they saw the vision was for the future. And it was a big surprise to find out that there was a second regional mall that is never going to be. This is 1,500 acres. It is massive. And I think both Andrew and Ann did a great job. There's a lot to be built in Estrella. We're very, very fortunate that it is one master planned community. And I'm going to let my colleagues dig into the details, but it appears to me that this project's being right-sized with flexibility to grow for the future.
Thank you. Next up, let's see what we have there. Councilmember Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff, I didn't see where you sat down. Did want to let you know we do care up here. I know I can speak about all my colleagues. I've only been up here 10 months, but we have, I know in that time, there's a lot of effort to try to make any future development, and there will be future development, look like Estrella, look like it belongs. I do have a question for the city attorney because, I've been to community meetings. I have friends all around Estrella. I remember when the high school was built. I've been around that long. I was actually even around when this pad was created, just barely. But for the city attorney, I've heard some places or some sentiment out there that as a city, just because something's zoned, why don't we just change the zoning? In my time up here in 10 months, I haven't heard in a public setting, I know the answer, but I think for the public, why couldn't we just take something that's already been zoned privately and just change it to how we wish?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Councilmember Terry. Generally, the city's kind of restricted in that regard following the passage of Prop 207 back in 2006, the Private Property Owners Protection Act. Basically states if you have a existing land use designation and the city comes in and makes regulatory changes to that, there's liability on the part of the city for any diminished property values. So when councils or cities are making those determinations as far as regulating zoning or making changes to property rights, you got to have the context in the back of your mind that if that change reduces the property value, the municipality is liable for that. So that's why you typically post-2006, you don't see cities in Arizona downzoning because the plane or the baseline's been established by the zoning that's already been adopted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Just the rarity, in being able to downzone. I do want to thank the developer for working with the city on that. And I had a question for you. Specifically, when it comes to the density areas, multifamily, if we could see the map again, just.
Sure.
Can you speak to, and I know, Andrew, you spoke to it as well, the ability for the higher density, the higher intensity to be in just a specific area. It cannot be scattered all throughout this community or next, or really right next to existing areas. It will primarily, except for the already existing northwest corner of Willis and Estrella, be on the east side of Estrella. Is that correct? Can you just speak to any fears about it being built in an already existing area outside of just east of that? Or I guess the question would be, can any new multifamily be built in already existing communities in Estrella on the west side, outside of that small little sliver there at Willis and Estrella Parkway?
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Terry. This rezone would affect only the area shown on this map, and actually, let me find a better one. This is a little bit better. So, though this is the existing zoning, not the proposed, but the rezone would affect only the areas within this boundary, and this site right now is completely undeveloped, so it would not affect any existing neighborhoods that are developed in Estrella. And just going back to the slide I had here, the highest density multifamily would be the core lug. That would allow up to 24 units per acre. But that's limited to the area, like you said, around Estrella Parkway and Willis Road. And then it extends up to Calistoga Road. Hub is a little bit, not quite as dense. That allows up to 18 units per acre, and that's a little bit bigger area than the core lug. And then the village lug allows only up to 12 units per acre, and that covers mostly that northern half. Though there's a piece at the very upper end that is not within that lug. So basically, the denser the project, the smaller the area that it's allowed to go. And it narrows in more into that intersection along Estrella Parkway and Willis Road and Calistoga Road.
So it's consolidated into pretty much one general area as opposed to current zoning, which would allow it.
Yeah, which allows a much larger.
Much throughout.
Yeah, the existing zoning allows it anywhere in that large red area at the top, which is, it's town center, commercial and office, but the PAD does allow multifamily to be interspersed with commercial and office. And then there's also the orange areas, which is slightly less dense residential. So anywhere in that big red block or in the orange areas, right now you could do multifamily. So it's a much smaller area for the densest product.
And then over the last few years, we had a committee that put forward a general plan that was then voted on and approved by the voters about a year and a half ago. I've heard that referred to. Was this potential rezoning or something similar to that in mind when that came up, or did that have any traces of, as Councilwoman Kano referenced, a time capsule? Because, I learn something new every day, and that was my first meeting with Harvard when I first got elected. It was like, whoa, with what was planned there 40 years ago to where we are now. That general plan that we went through about a year and a half ago for final approval to the voters, I heard this aligns more with that. So this rezone and some of these negotiations were part of that, because I know that had a citizen committee as well. Is that correct? Or can you speak to how that general plan was devised?
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Terry. This general plan amendment, the applicant actually applied for this general plan amendment, I believe, a little bit before the 2035 update. So all of what passed in their general plan amendment was carried over into the 2035 update. There weren't any changes between what it was before that update and what it was after. So what you're seeing here is what's in the current version of the general plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I've heard, I don't know if this is for you, but Traffic is obviously an issue. I came here from high school district. It did not include the Buckeye Union High School District, but I am well aware of the traffic challenges surrounding Estrella Foothills. What sort of improvements or are we expecting even along Estrella Parkway in the future? Just, as mentioned, how it can relate to the zoning of this area. There are limited numbers of ways in and out. I don't know if this is for you or possibly Steve, just improvements to Estrella as well as Cotton Lane. I don't know. To my knowledge, there are 3 main paved roads in and out of the Estrella community. I just want to, that bottleneck is slightly concerning, as well as around the high school area. Traffic's a mess there during peak hours.
Good evening, good evening, Mayor, Councilmember Terry. I think I don't have, for a rezoning of this size, I don't have specifics on that today. I can tell you when something like this comes in, the staff looks at a traffic impact analysis for the entire area, but we also know that something that may take 10 years to develop will be phased over time. And so how we normally work with the development community is with each successive submittal for their phases, there'll be an updated traffic impact analysis that will show us what needs to come on board with each. So for instance, if something develops on the north side, it may look different than if something develops on the south side first. So we follow Maricopa County standards, and for a development of this size, it does take into account intersections that aren't directly adjacent to the development. So at the appropriate time of the review, we would have more understanding. And today, though, I don't have that level of detail.
Okay. But you spoke to the time that this will take. Obviously, this is I've heard 10 years planned. It's going to be built in phases. But each phase is going to come with the monitoring of the traffic, monitoring of, what's needed. And I guess, is there essentially a long-term plan to deal with that bottleneck? I know there are various discussions being had when it comes to the roundabout and the area up there.
Yes, absolutely.
Without getting too specific, because I know it's still a, discussion, but it's a concern out there in the community, so I wanted to bring it up tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Terry. Again, the scope of this project definitely looks at areas further outside of the directly adjacent community. The city also went through kind of an exercise knowing that in our transportation master plan, eventually that area will be impacted, the roundabout, the level of service will drop to the point that it will need to be adjusted. The timing on that isn't known. It's based on development, which of course this is a large development that will impact that. We have gone through the exercise to look at analysis of alternatives, and we have been in discussions with the developer on as they develop what that looks like, but nothing's set in stone today, neither the configuration nor the timeline, but we are looking at that.
Okay. But we can expect a kind of phased understanding of the traffic needs in that area, and wouldn't expect to see the entirety of the 6,000 dwellings be built before we then address the traffic. Is that correct?
I can agree with that, yes.
And then I had one more kind of on traffic. Appreciate your patience, Mayor. 303 was mentioned as originally planned going through Estrella back when that was kind of a regional commercial core, almost a downtown planned area for Goodyear back in the day. The 303 has now shifted to the west, at least the planned development. I know we have the extension of the 303 supposed to be starting soon, going down to MC 85. At some point, 10, 20, 30, who knows, that would go even further south if we can, there's bridge across the river that comes with that brings challenges. The ingress egress for the Estrella community, within this development time, are we also considering ways to get out onto, was it Tut Hill and then Jackrabbit there when Elliott goes to the west? I know that connects with, I believe it's Tut Hill, which turns into Jackrabbit that goes up to, up north. But are we considering even further south where Willis goes to, I believe Rainbow Valley Road in that area is already paved as well, is that correct? Or are we looking at expansion there? Are we addressing possible concerns about needing a western exit to the community? Obviously, to the east, there's a mountain. It's kind of hard to go that way.
I think there's a lot to unpack there. I think.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm trying to think through. If I go back to, there's two different documents that we would go to. We would start with when we're talking about regional improvements or potential long range, we'd start with our city's transportation master plan, which we updated a few years ago and we're likely to update on a 5-year cycle. That's where we would kind of look at, what changes to the Loop 303, the timelines, ADOT's timelines, and kind of the future planning, what changes would maybe impact this area. As far as exits to the west, potential exits to the west, when we review these traffic impact analyses, there are trips that'll be assigned in that direction. I don't know that there's any improvements anticipated today for anything outside of the city, but that's definitely sometime over time, say, again, phased improvements over time as traffic increases and more development comes online. It's possible, but I don't know the answer today.
So it's at least going to be monitored, and if, say, there became a state initiative to expand the 303 even further south or something like that, I hear from folks in Pinal County, they're begging for another way into the valley, that could possibly expedite something like that. And again, something to monitor, I guess, in phases as well, additional heavy trafficable routes in and out of the community.
It's definitely something we'll be monitoring over time.
Okay. I think that's all I have for you, Steve. I did have 2 questions for Andrew, and then I'm done. Again, Andrew, I appreciate you working with staff on this. I know I can be quite needy. I know some of our friends, but our residents, we try to give our residents the best we possibly can here. Schools were brought up, specifically elementary schools. I know you need more elementary schools than you do high schools. I know even Estrella Foothills High School is quite crowded currently, but to the, it's Liberty Elementary District down there. Is there any land available to them if and should they need possibly another school 5-10 years down the road, something like that? Can you speak to that question?
Yes, Councilmember Terry, thank you for the question. Schools are obviously something we're very interested in building a residential community. It is needed for the community. It helps attract residents there. The way it's typically worked in Estrella is when the district gets to a point where they are projecting a new school need, they come to the developer and we provide the land for it. Right now, there is a site in the Montecito area over by the Presidio Residence Club, and that is what Liberty is sort of eyeing for its next school in Estrella. So there's land there now. We still own it, but we're going to give it to them when they're ready to build. When it comes to, within Community 14 itself, the same type of thing will happen. And when they're getting to the point where they tell us they need a new one, we'll find the land to make it happen. And do keep in mind, please, that we're talking about this 1,500 acres here today. There's still about another 1,700 acres of Estrella over to the east that hasn't been developed yet. So it's a much larger conversation we're having with them. We're having it continuously.
Okay. And that 1,700 acres, that still carries with it this 88 zoning. It looks less intense. That's correct?
Councilmember Terry, that is correct.
Okay. And then I saw the renderings in here of hopefully someday a mixed-use core. I tend to be a fan of those when we're talking multifamily, that, commercial, retail, restaurants, first floor, a lot of times. I know Verado, their Main Street, has that that commercial first floor, and then they have housing on second, third floor. Kierland is a well-known destination in Scottsdale that's similar, something like that. Obviously, probably much larger scale. And I know this zoning would allow for that. We, throughout our zoning kind of, we've been redoing our zoning ordinances over the last, or we're working on that. We haven't done it yet, but to create the ability to build something like that, I see renderings in your presentation. Is that sort of your intention going forward, is to hopefully be able to create that? Obviously, the market is going to dictate, but that's your intention, is to create some sort of mixed-use area in that core?
Yeah, Councilmember Terry, thank you. Yes, that'd be a big win for everyone if we were able to get that type of use in there. It brings a lot to the vibrancy. It brings a lot of good services. It's great for property value. There's a lot of benefits to that. That said, and as you noted, we can't force someone to build that there. What we can do is try to create the environment for them to come. So that's why we're looking at this plan, one, focusing on that intersection where the general plan is saying the intensity needs to be as the more intense portion, and allowing for that, type of graduated density we're looking at. One of the other things we did, and as you noted, going over the zoning ordinance, there is not a strict mixed-use district in Goodyear right now. So we had to create one to make sure that it is permitted if it comes. And the one other thing I'd like to add is there's both horizontal and vertical mixed use. Sometimes you can get a lot of the same effect having the uses next to each other rather than strictly stacked on top of each other. So I think there's a lot of options, and we're hopeful. We certainly can't guarantee anything, but I think we'd all be pretty happy if that worked out.
Okay. And then you mentioned stacking, so unfortunately, Ann, I may have one more for you. It was asked by one of our residents about the height restriction. Can you just confirm those are part of this rezoning package? There are height standards, there are maximums in there. Can you speak to maybe the highest in the core and then spread out? I know that was part of your presentation, but it was brought up again by one of our residents, so I'd ask you to address the height issue as well.
Sure. Thank you.
Or,
sure, go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, either one. Apologies.
Can we pull up mine?
Yeah, sorry.
Councilman Terry, thank you for that. And that is a question we've heard, so we developed a slide specifically to speak to it.
I'd love to see it.
I'm going to have to click through a lot, though. I apologize. Okay, so this is a slide we prepared. It's based on the land use groups, and it shows the maximum height in different areas based on whether it's residential or commercial mixed-use development. On the right, you can see that is the residential-only height maximum. All of that white hatched area has a 30-foot maximum. That's your single-family residence. That's two-story house. Even the multifamily that can occur in that area has to be a 30-foot limit. Only in that orange shading, when you get around that higher intensity area, and that's noted in the general plan, can you get up to 40 feet. But there's still the unit cap on top of that, so there is absolutely no way that entire area is built out at 40 feet. It's just a permission. When you go over to the left, this is the commercial and mixed use slide here. So again, you've got that 30-foot maximum over the vast majority of the property. The city's C2 district allows 56 feet in height. So that's what we incorporated here is the city's own C2 standards, and that allows up to 56 in this area. Again, that is a maximum permission. The likelihood of many buildings getting that tall is pretty low. When you're looking from a commercial standpoint, I mean, that's an office, which I don't think we're gonna have a lot of office here.
That's not strictly residential. That would have to be the commercial or mixed use.
Yes, that is correct. If there was retail on the ground floor, you could put 3 more stories of residential on top of it to hit that 56 feet. But again, only in this concentrated area. The rest is a 30-foot max.
Okay. That exhausts the questions I have. I appreciate my colleagues' patience on that. But I'm done, Mayor.
All right, Councilwoman Gillis.
We're not going to laugh, right? Okay, Andrew, I need you. So I'm going to address Jeff also. Jeff, I also care, and I wouldn't be up here if I didn't. I own a home up there, and I've had a home up there for 15 years. So some of this stuff that is coming, I'm excited about. So it might be that we agree to disagree, but I do care. The things I'm talking to you about, Andrew, is the zoning was originally done in 1988, correct?
Councilmember Gillis, yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that was when all this took place. These apartments, like Councilman Terry just said, can go the mixed use, or you can do mixed use beneath, and then you do the multi-level above, right?
In the existing zoning today, it actually doesn't speak specifically to mixed use,
But
but
if
it would
we did
allow
that.
an apartment-only building to
Right.
go up even higher.
So tell everybody how high we're talking. Are we talking 2, 3, 4?
There is not a height limit on the town center. Practically speaking, 5 or 6 stories, you're probably never gonna see higher than that, but within the zoning, there is no height limit within the town center area.
But you're not really talking about that. You're talking more, you guys aren't planning on doing that, is what you're saying, like 2 to 3 is what you told me.
Councilmember Gillis, that is correct. There
That's
is
what I thought.
A limited area where 3 stories could occur, 2 stories across the rest. 4 stories is only possible if there's ground level retail and
Because that'd be
residential.
really tall and kind of shouldn't be up there. Kind of, that's what we're talking, right? Because I know we talked about that. So I want to make sure that people understand that we're not doing 4-story units or 5-story units. That's not what we're talking about, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to be sure. And because of the zoning done in 88, it's saying you can do that, basically, but we're not doing that. And so I think that's important to let people know that. We're not planning on that. Okay. All in all, we're talking about less single level than what was planned originally, less multi-level than was planned originally, right?
That's correct, Councilmember Gillis.
That's correct, okay. And the height is less than what was done in 1988 is what we're looking at.
That is correct.
So it's all less, basically, than what you actually could do by what's in that zoning from 1988.
That's correct.
That's what I wanted to be sure, because I have a home up there too. So I don't want 5 and 6 unit, you know what I mean, floor above, I don't want that. So I actually like what they're doing here. I like the fact that they're going to do commercial. I know we need that density for that commercial. I've been waiting for that up there. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I think other people that I have talked to up there, my neighbors and stuff, are excited about it too, because we've been there a long time. So that's kind of a good thing. I would like to know a little bit about the opposition, because that does matter to me. My constituents matter to me. So I would like to know what we're getting in the opposition. We heard about some of the things, a couple of things here, and we heard about some of the things that people like of what's coming to us. So what is the deal with the opposition?
And Councilmember Gillis, I of course can only speak from my experience. I don't speak for them, but I can tell you my
But you were at
experience
the
throughout this
neighborhood meetings,
process.
right?
That's correct. We held our first neighborhood meeting on March 31st. About 200 people attended at the Star Points Residence Club. There was a lot of opposition to multifamily at that meeting. I think that there was a belief among some that there was never going to be multifamily in Australia.
Right.
When we were able to walk through and explain how this is a down zone and what's permitted today, I think a lot of people came around to understanding that this is an improvement over the current plan. So we certainly talked a lot about the multifamily, how it's a reduction, and how we're using the city standards for the multifamily instead of the old standards within the old zoning. We had a second neighborhood meeting on July 1st. One of the reasons is that we actually expanded the area. Initially, our rezone was only going to cover about the northern 2/3 of what you see today. We added in about 425 acres in the south. When we did that, we did increase the overall unit cap because we had more acres. So we just used the density as a ratio and did a multiplication problem. We did not increase the multifamily. So that in the new area that came in the south is only within that estate land use group. So there is no multifamily or commercial there. We basically added 425 acres of single family only land and open space, because that small mountain is part of that, that as well. And we got a few emails, a few phone calls. I do feel like a lot of the opposition has been similar to what we've heard here tonight. There's a general expression that downzoning is good. And then, some questions about traffic and multifamily, I believe, have been pretty well addressed by various city staff members here this evening. I will say too, Councilmember Gillis, we did also, between Planning and Zoning Commission and tonight, we did a separate informational meeting in the Cantamia neighborhood. As you know, Cantamia is part of Estrella, but it's also kind of separate from Estrella. So we held our first two meetings at Star Point, which is where we typically do them. We did a separate meeting at the Residence Club in Cantamia last week. I think probably 70 to 80 people showed up to that.
Right. Okay, so that was kind of, I think it's important to be transparent. And you and I had a meeting, and I asked a lot of these questions because, like I said, I own a home up there. So it's important to me what goes up there as well. And I like much better what you're doing than what the 1988 plan was, okay? I like the fact that we're keeping everything a little bit lower. And I like the fact that we're gonna bring in commercial. We can only bring in commercial if we have the density up there. So we all know that because that's what we're dealing with down here. So I'm in support of this project. I've been waiting for it a long time, and I thank you for being very clear about it for everybody, because I think it's important to know that you could do a lot more from 1988 zoning, but you're not. So you're really trying to help the people out there, and I'm one of the ones that I was not for it in the beginning, but I am for it now. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Gillis.
Councilmember Hampton.
I think my peers have answered a lot of the questions I had. So the 303, we talked about that. Oh, Jeff brought that up. That's not going to happen for decades, potentially. So that alignment. So, and then the height, I know Tom brought that up. And I think we addressed the height on that as well. It was a down zone from that also. And then, what else are we talking about here? So I know Ann brought up the signals. We were doing some of the stipulations on the signals. So was that can you remind me what you did with the signals? Maybe you can answer that for me.
Yes, Councilmember Hampton, essentially it is correcting a typo that occurred in working through revisions to the stipulations. It was, if you really look at it, it's a clause that doesn't have a subject verb agreement. It's a leftover remnant from another sentence, and there's a capital letter that goes in the middle of it. Signals are actually addressed in the stipulation below it. There's no substantive change in the stipulation. For the sake of future staff who's implementing the stipulations, we wanted to make sure it was cleaned up so it read cleanly.
Okay. And then I think Councilmember Terry mentioned the schools. So that top part is earmarked for the high school. As long as their bond passes, they can purchase that land then from you guys, and then they can hopefully get better egress and egress out of the high school there. Will hopefully leave some of the traffic concerns there as that school is going to continue to grow. So there's already earmarked spots for other uses throughout there, elementary and potentially city stuff, fire, all those type of things that a normal master plan community would have agreement with.
Yeah, and Councilmember Hampton, speaking of the high school, you're correct. The boundary of our rezone goes up to the southern boundary of the high school. Yeah. The 22 acres at the north right now is earmarked. We have a memorandum of understanding with the high school that if their bond passes and they have the money to be able to develop that, we are going to donate that land to the high school. What they have expressed is their intent is to add sports fields and parking and access. Under the plan they're looking at, and again, this is the high school district would be doing it, but they're looking at additional access off Estrella Parkway, and then there would be another collector road that runs along the south with additional access in, and then eventually Cotton Lane will come down the east.
The east side. Is that where the alignment is right now? 303 Cotton Lane?
Councilman Hampton, not 303.
Yeah, okay, Cotton, yeah.
Yes, Cotton Lane, there's a very large utility easement there, and so Cotton Lane will run along the side of the utility easement.
Okay, what's the timeline for that road there, along with this project?
It will be phased in as part of this project. The master transportation impact analysis for this project looks at Cotton Lane being built out. As Steve Cento was noting, the timing and phasing of that is going to be evaluated with the various plats and site plans that come in. One, that's just the typical way that these work, because there's still plenty of time to get the road built. If there's a road that needs to be built and we haven't built it by that time, we don't get our certificates of occupancy. So we have to make sure we do it. Also, at that time, there's more information, because there's other parts of Australia developing as well. And, in 5 years, when a pre-plat comes in, we'll know more of what else is going on than we do today. So it'll be better information at that time.
Yeah, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but yeah, so I think it's good. Downsizing is great. We get more open space. We get less apartments than that could be there. So I'm in favor of this. So thank you.
Councilwoman Beckles?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say I've lived in Cantamia for 9 years, so I'm very, very interested in this project and very, very concerned about what will go on with this project. It certainly sparked my interest, and in sparking my interest, this was not a rubber stamp for me. I've done a lot of reading over and over and over again, asked a lot of questions and done a lot of research. It's my understanding that the project itself is going to be like phased in. We're not going to see this is a big project. This is a lot of land. We're not going to see all of a sudden everything coming in all at one time. Is that my understanding?
Councilmember Beckles, that's absolutely correct. There's really no way to build out 1,500 acres at one time. So while we don't know specifically which phase will go when, it will be phased over time.
Okay. So what I like the bigness of the project and what's going on, what's going to be there in 10 years, because rooftops do bring in more retail, and that end of Australia does really need more retail. So I appreciate that, and I really like that. I am a little concerned, though, that the length, the bigness of this project, we won't see it again in Council unless there's a gas station, a car wash, or drive-through that comes in. So this is it. So whatever we decide today, this is it unless one of those items come to Council. Is that correct?
Well, Councilmember Beckles, there are a few different ways it could come back before Council. If anyone was trying to raise the limit of units or raise the cap on multifamily units, that would have to come back before Council. If there were significant reductions in open space requirements or things like that, those things come back before Council as well. The other thing that would occur is if one of these, if part of the land within the 1,500 acres gets through the platting phase and actually gets designated as one of these zoning districts, and they say, okay, this one's going to be C2, but it doesn't develop as C2 and somebody wants to come in and make it multifamily. After it's already been assigned that C2, it has to come back to Council before it gets planned. So the guardrails right now are the land use groups. And then once anything is established within those land use groups, that's set unless Council unless you come back to Council to ask to change it.
Okay. So Trey Terry and Vicki Gillis answered my questions regarding height, so that's been done. In terms of apartments and houses, I would be concerned that we make sure that if we're building single-family homes, that we're not building the apartments so that they overlook someone's backyard. And is there a way to make sure that we're not doing that?
Councilmember Beckles, yes, I'm going to address that two ways, though. First of all, anyone who has an existing home in Australia is going to be on the west side of Australia Parkway. So that is 150-foot right away there, then plus whatever their own setback is, and plus a setback on the other side. So there is a built-in very large buffer between any existing homes and anything that could go in on the east side of Estrella Parkway. And then even within the Community 14 development, one of the things that I've tried to emphasize throughout this process is we have taken the city's zoning district standards and implemented them. And the city's zoning ordinance takes your question into account. How close can multifamily and single family be to each other? And the general rule is that when the multifamily comes in, it's got to be set back 50 feet from any single family residential property line, and it can go up to 30 feet for them. Then they have what they call a stepped up setback, where you can get a little more height the further away you go from that single family, so that you can get 1 more foot of height for every 5 feet further away you get. So that's the buffer that is built into the city's zoning ordinance. We're not asking for that to be reduced for this. We're adopting the city's own buffer within this.
Okay. Let's see if I have anything else. No, I think you've covered everything that I've been interested in. I think that this project, the scope of the project in itself brings value to Australia. And I like that. I just have those concerns, the road concerns, obviously. But in general, it goes along with the general plan. So I am pretty much interested in moving forward with this project. Thank you.
Being last, Councilmember Terry did a good job with the questions, so it's not a whole lot to delve into that. The one thing, though, that I'm kind of concerned about is the traffic on that loop. And I know you guys are working on an alternate route on that to make sure that as this thing gets built, probably the quicker that gets in line to try to alleviate some of that traffic, probably the better. Now, I'm not sure where Steve's got that kind of lined in, and I'm sure the traffic analysis will go in when they start building, their project on there. But that would be a concern to make sure that timing-wise, you take a good hard look at that to get that piece. Because I know you're working on getting an alternate route off of that. It's my understanding, it won't be a roundabout, so when that gets done, to get that up there. But, the thing that gets me, number one, when you talk about multifamily is you could have built 4,500 of those puppies up there. That's a lot of multifamily homes. And that you dropped it to 864, that's impressive. Because usually developer comes in and they go the opposite. You know what I mean? To have somebody actually decrease that, because that seems to be a hot button item, in the city itself, is the multifamily. They want to always add more. They're zoned for, 12, maybe they want 24. So I appreciate you dropping that down, because the word is out there that they don't really want the multifamily, and I appreciate you going out to Cantamia. We were there, I think, a little after you at a town hall. That was very productive in getting feedback from the residents as well. So, but I can tell you one thing, I just throw this out to you, Steve, that I noticed while I was up there, that I really think they need hospital or emergency, something up there. I know they've got the fire station, but you're so far out there in Cantamia, I really believe, and I know it takes a number of people for it to service, but some type of hospital or something in there for emergency, urgent care, up there. That's what I didn't notice when I was up there in Cantamia, and I suspect at some point in this big, huge development you're doing, you're going to find room to plug one of those on there. So with that, I think you did a good job of the down zoning. Like I say, you don't typically hear that from developers. So I'm with it. So with that, we've got a motion on the table. Let's go ahead and open it up.
Councilmember Kano, please state your vote for the record.
Aye.
Thank you.
7-0. You did a good job of down zoning and all that. I appreciate that. Thank you. We have one item on business. We'd like to remind council to wait for a motion a second before discussion. Remember, this is a notice of intent on utility rates, and all we're doing is setting the public hearing. There's no vote tonight on any rates, so I don't want to get anybody all excited on that, just to set the public hearing. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Pizzillo, members of council. I'm Jared Askelson. I'm the finance director here with the city of Goodyear. And as the mayor mentioned, we are here tonight to take the first action with respect to our utility rate update, and that is to adopt a notice of intent and set a public hearing date. This notice of intent is required by state statute, and as was mentioned, there are no actions on the rates that are going to happen tonight. This will set the public hearing date in December. The notice will then be posted on our website. In addition to that, we will be noticing our utility rate customers on their bills. As we discussed last week at our work session, this is the recommendation that came from our Citizens Water Advisory Committee, and this is exactly how we're going to notice this. This includes an overall rate increase of 7.3%, and as per our conversation last week, it does include a stormwater fee to be enacted with this rate plan. The calendar, as you see here, the Citizens Water Advisory Committee put their recommendation, adopted it officially on the 10th of September. We met last week and discussed the stormwater fee as a part of the work session. We're looking to adopt that notice of intent and set the public hearing date tonight. We will have a detailed discussion at our council retreat, specifically on these utility rates, not just stormwater, but water, wastewater, and solid waste as well. Then on December 15th is when the public hearing will be set, and we will take action on the rates at that time. The effective date will go in place in January and February because we have multiple billing cycles. It will cross those 2 months. And with that, I'll open it for any questions.
Anybody in the audience like to speak? Seeing that, will the council please enter a motion and a second to adopt a notice of intention to increase water, wastewater, solid waste, newly proposed stormwater rates, and set a public hearing date of December 15th, 2025. I see a motion and a second. Yes, I do. Open for discussion. I see a Councilmember Terry up there.
Thanks, Mayor. Just really quickly, Jared, I know we had discussion on this. I just wanted to ask, when we have the retreat next month and all that, can we make sure to get benchmark cities, just similar size population, West Valley region, how they've been treating their utility rates probably since 21 post-pandemic is probably a good benchmark there. I want to make sure that we had that data as well. I know that's different slightly than what we talked about last week, but I wanted to make sure we would have that as well. So that was a request, not really a question.
You good? Everybody else okay? All right, with no further discussion, let's go ahead and open the vote to set the date.
Councilmember Kano, please state your vote for the record.
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, with that, does the council have any comments, commendation, reports on current events or requests for future? See nothing here. Nothing here. All right, then I'm going to pass it over to the city manager.
Yes, Mayor and City Council members, I would like for my portion, reports from City Manager, to ask Chief Izzet and Chief Paul to come up and give a kind of an update as to the events that took place yesterday, Sunday, and how our personnel were called on and did, in my opinion, an excellent job, but I will let them talk about it.
And just to remind council, we can't have any discussions on this. All we can say is, yay, nay, with what we, just asking there. Come on down.
Well, thanks, boss, for calling us up. Mayor Pizzilla, members of council, I'm Brian Izzet, and I'm the police chief here in Goodyear. I wanted to take a moment to recognize the outstanding efforts of the Goodyear Police Department during the funeral held yesterday at State Farm Stadium, which drew over 50, and that's 50, high-level dignitaries and estimates ranging from 100 to 200,000 people who were attempting to attend the service in the footprint of the stadium. Mutual aid was requested for our help by the Glendale Police Department, and we deployed more than 50 officers across multiple critical areas, ranging from SWAT support to at the Luke Air Force Base, perimeter and motorcade security, traffic control, mobile field force preparedness, and explosive ordnance detection, to direct liaison with the United States Secret Service through our threat liaison officers. Our executive staff remained on site from early morning until the conclusion of the event, ensuring strong leadership throughout the entire operation. This event showcased not only the professionalism of our department, but Goodyear's ability to support any major regional operation at the highest level of public safety. A sincere thank you to our officers and also our fire department partners for their contributions and for ensuring this event happened without any significant incidents. And I'll give it over to Chief Paul.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Ed Paul, Deputy Chief for the Fire Department. On Sunday, we deployed many of our units to the funeral as part of the automatic aid system. Some of the units that we deployed were hazmat teams. We sent a public information officer, emergency manager, and command teams to the incident. We're very proud of how they represented our city in a professional manner and validates the training that we have put in with our automatic aid partners in the Valley preparing for these types of events.
Thank you. Any comments? Whoops.
I'd like to just add that the eyes of the world were on the West Valley on Sunday, and I could not be more proud of the men and women that protected our citizens, protected our federal employees and government, and what took place on Sunday. So my deepest appreciations, and I'm so darn proud of all of you. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere.
Hold up, guys.
Hold up. I'm not done.
Hold up.
Come back. You know me. If I'm not done, I'm not done. I am also so proud of our fire and police. You know this. I say it all the time. We have the best around. And I just want to say awesome, fantastic, fabulous. You guys are the best. This was a big task. It was a big task in a short amount of time to do it. It took us double that amount. It took us months to prepare for the Super Bowl. I was not so sure we were going to be able to do this, and I was scared to death the entire time. And I was so happy when I knew it was over and our men and women were coming home. So I want to thank you for everything you did. I want to thank the Goodyear Police Department and Fire Department, and I want to say you are the best. I've always said you were the best, and this proved it. Thank you, everybody. I'm proud.
Thank you.
Anything else? No, you guys did an excellent job. You really did. So, in such a short period of time, it was amazing that you didn't have anything major. And I know that I was trying to head north, couldn't go anywhere because of everything that was blocked off for the president's trip from Loop 2. So, great job, guys. Great job.
Thank you.
Nice job.
With that, this meeting's over.